Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Billings police have located the subject of a search after reports of a man trying to grab children in public places across Billings.
Authorities announcing late this afternoon the man they were looking for has been found and is identified as a 73-year-old Billings resident.
The situation remains under investigation. Police said they have yet to determine the man's motives.
Now, all three incidents happened in just 3 days between April 18th and April 20th. Now, the first situation reported in the area of Antelope Trail West in the Billings Heights. The next two both happened miles away at Optimist Park on the city's south side.
In that first incident, it was reported that an elderly man grabbed a 4-year-old's hand, tried to walk away. The child's older sibling intervened and the man left. The next day, a man approached a 5-year-old at Optimist Park and asked the child to jog with him. The child refused and the man left.
Then on April 20th, the man grabbed another child at the same park and tried to walk away. The child's mother stopped him and he reportedly apologized, telling her he believed the child to be his grandkid. At
this time, investigators are unsure if the man had criminal intent or is perhaps suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, or some type of mental illness.
Now, before police released information about the possible abduction attempts today, a woman reported a similar incident involving her granddaughter just yesterday.
Q2's David J. standing by with those details. And David, we don't know if these incidents are connected.
Russ, Jeanelle, that's right. We don't know, but Stephanie Littlelight says she is still shaken from what happened to her and her granddaughter. She posted the incident on Facebook yesterday, even before police sent out a warning about the other incidents. Littlelight and her 3-year-old granddaughter, Ayana, were walking in Billings West End of Walmart's parking lot yesterday when a man grabbed her granddaughter's hand and asked if he could help. Littlelight said no, and the man insisted. She immediately put her granddaughter in the car and locked it, and when she turned around, the man was gone. Littlelight says she's still rethinking the situation.
Scared and kind of mixed feelings, like anger. Like I was mad at myself for not responding how I should have. Like instead of taking more action. And then I thought I put her in danger.
Stephanie Littlelight says she has spoken with Billings police. Lieutenant Brandon Woolley says detectives are still investigating. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, David. Well, new details tonight on a longtime Butte doctor who admits he sexually assaulted 6 female patients in his care as a judge sentences him to 10 years in prison. Dr. Patrick McGree apologized to the victims today in court, saying he takes full responsibility for his actions. While the judge acknowledged that McGree was remorseful, she said his criminal behavior went on for many years. McGree, who lost his license to practice medicine, was also fined $5,000.
The surviving suspect in the murder of Broadwater County Deputy Mason Moore can forcibly be medicated to stand trial. A judge making that decision this week after hearing expert testimony earlier this year. Lloyd Barris had originally been found unfit to stand trial after doctors said he suffered from a number of mental health disorders. Lloyd Barris's son, Marshall, was accused of fatally shooting Deputy Moore during a pursuit near Three Forks in May of 2017. The father and son then led law enforcement on a chase that ended with the son being killed in a shootout near Missoula. The order stated that Barris had initially been found mentally unfit to stand trial in a similar crime that happened in California, but was also found to be competent there after taking medication. Well, to medicate Barris, doctors are required to follow appropriate safety measures and monitor him for potential side effects. Barris has been charged with 5 felonies in the shooting death of Deputy Mason Moore, including deliberate homicide by accountability.
Attorney General William Barr testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee today about the release of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report.
Well, some senators and 2020 Democratic presidential contenders are calling on Barr to resign, saying he misled the public. Nicole Killian has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Senate Democrats ripped into the Attorney General over his handling of the Mueller report.
You put the power and authority of the Office of the Attorney General and the Department of Justice behind a public relations effort to help Donald Trump protect himself.
William Barr told the Senate Judiciary Committee Wednesday he did not exonerate President Trump on the obstruction of justice question.
And we concluded that the evidence developed during the special counsel's investigation was not sufficient to establish that the president committed an obstruction of justice offense.
Senators also questioned Barr about a newly revealed letter. In it, special counsel Robert Mueller scolded Barr about his 4-page summary of the report on Russian interference in the 2016 election.
My understanding was his concern was not the accuracy of the statement of the findings in my letter, but that he wanted more out there to provide additional context.
In a radio interview, President Trump praised Barr's performance on Capitol Hill.
I heard that the Attorney General was really solid and did a great job today.
Late in the day, Barr said he will not appear as scheduled before the House Judiciary Committee Thursday. The Justice Department cited a dispute over who would do the questioning.
Do you really need committee lawyers to ask questions tomorrow? I mean, do you think that's one of the reasons why he's not coming?
I think that is the reason he's not coming. He is terrified. He is terrified of having to face a skilled attorney.
Chairman Jerry Nadler says he is now considering holding Barr in contempt of Congress if he doesn't comply with his committee's request. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The House Judiciary Committee wants special counsel Robert Mueller to testify on May 15th.
Well, as anticipated, Montana Governor Steve Bullock is planning an announcement soon on his future political plans. And as MTN's Mike Dennison reports, the governor has set a pretty ambitious goal.
Governor Bullock isn't talking publicly yet about his future plans, but MTN News has learned that in a couple of weeks, he'll be announcing that he's running for president. The two-term Democratic governor would join a field that already includes 20 Democrats who are competing for their party's nomination to challenge President Trump in 2020. Bullock's announcement won't come as a big surprise. He has a political action committee called Big Sky Values, which has been funding his political activities at various locales around the country since late 2017. The 53-year-old Bullock also has campaign-related staff on the ground in Iowa, the site of the nation's first presidential nominating caucus next February. A Big Sky Values PAC spokeswoman told MTN News Wednesday that Bullock is a progressive champion and tested leader who has been highlighting his clear and optimistic vision for the future. Some Democrats have been pushing Bullock to challenge Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines next year, but Bullock has said he's not interested. Montana State University political science professor David Parker told MTN Wednesday that Bullock is certainly a long shot as a presidential candidate. But he also said Bullock has a compelling story to tell about succeeding as a Democratic governor in a Republican-leaning state, and that Bullock could argue he has appeal to rural voters, particularly in a state like Iowa. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Thanks, Mike. Now, Bullock cannot run for re-election as governor next year because of term limits.
Some new information on the theft of life-saving gear from a Billings firefighter that we told you about. Turns out some of that gear was anonymously dropped off early this morning, but not all of it. Roughly $10,000 of gear was taken last week from a Billings firefighter's personal truck. Crews tell us a bag showed up at 7 a.m. Laying on the ground there between Station 6 and a church in the Billings Heights. About $4,000 worth of the gear was inside. However, a rope climbing helmet, firefighter structure helmet, and an infrared air mask were not returned. Police are still investigating.
Well, turning to weather, Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Well, May is already faring better than April. What does our first glimpse of the month look like?
You know, May normally is one of our wetter months of the year, so that's going to give you a hint of what's happening. As you can see, though, let's start off with the temperatures. The average high temperature in Billings for the month of May is 71 degrees. Now, we're going to give you the 8 to 14-day outlook. That takes us to May 14th, and that'll show you how we're doing. You'll notice we're going to be a little below average in Montana, especially east of the Divide. West of the Divide is going to be about average. It's going to be above average out on either side, either coast, west and southeast. But let's talk about precipitation-wise. It looks like it's going to be a little bit wetter in Montana in the first half of the month. The average precipitation for Billings in May is 2.17 inches of precipitation. We probably could get more. That means maybe you're going to have some tall grass growing this month. We'll have more of that coming your way in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob.
Have you noticed a startling increase in the cost of your homeowner's insurance recently? If so, you are definitely not alone.
A new survey indicates over a recent 9-year span, homeowners in Montana saw their insurance rates jumped 61%. But the main culprit for that startling increase, the frequency and severity of natural disasters nationwide. Everything from hurricanes to tornadoes to wildfires and floods.
In this new age of climate change, severe weather and natural disasters seem to be the norm rather than the exception, leading to a jump in home insurance rates in every state over the past decade.
You know, when those top insurance companies like your Allstates, your State Farm, Farmers, Geico, and Progressive, when they're experiencing billions of dollars of loss across the country, you know, it's the homeowners that really end up footing the bill at the end of the day. Insurance companies take a loss, therefore rates go up for the insurance companies to recoup those losses.
Now, this new Quote Wizard survey compares annual home insurance rates from 2007 to 2016. Montana listed 21st in the country for the percentage increase. A homeowner's policy that cost $430 in 2007 cost $1,130 in 2016. You can see here how Montana compares to our neighboring states. North Dakota and Wyoming ranked 18th and 19th.
Again, the big culprit, natural disasters, with nearly 2/3 of home insurance losses the result of wind, hail, and water damage. The states facing the stiffest increases, those in Tornado Alley. Oklahoma, Kansas, and Colorado all saw insurance costs jump more than 70% since 2007.
So the next time you watch severe weather taking a toll across the country, keep in mind it's also taking a bite out of everyone's pocketbooks.
Now, the one thing that homeowners can do, shop around to make sure you're getting the greatest coverage for the lowest cost. And that is precisely why Quote Wizard conducts surveys like the one we just showed you. Well, it is one of the Navy's newest warships, and it bears the name of Montana's largest city.
The USS Billings is now just months away from being placed into service. The Navy has announced the ship will be commissioned on August 3rd in Key West, Florida.
The USS Billings is the 15th in the class of littoral combat ships known for their speed and versatility. It will mostly operate in waters close to the shore once it does head into action.
Coming up on tonight's 10 o'clock news, can Montana's electric co-ops give Congress the jolt it needs to pass legislation to save those small-town companies?
And in sports, Scott shows his top performers from today's Midland Roundtable Top 10 meet and unveils the Roundtable's Athlete of the Year finalists.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.